It's almost like you want me to give up. You make it hard for me to love you. Building up these mountains that I can never move. My prisoner. It's almost like you want me to give up. You make it hard for me to love you.
True peace, everybody. It's Queepoo, Carday, Nupu, and I'm back with another video. And this video is just gonna be a preview of a book that I'm writing, well, typing up, and it's just gonna, it's just gonna make connections between, mental illness and your natal chart and when you were born and things like that. So I'm not gonna get too detailed on I'm not gonna get too deep into the book, but please keep in mind that this is a rough draft. You may see some errors and things like that, but just keep in mind that this book is still in progress. And I hope you guys learned something from this video. So let's begin. So it says, according to mundane science, psychology is the study of mind and behavior. It encompasses the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how people think, act, and feel. We must also take into account that psychology deals with the psyche. Let's look at the etymology of the word psyche. It says animating spirit, the human spirit or mind. The soul, mind, spirit, life, one's life, the invisible animating principle or entity which occupies and directs the physical body. Understanding, the mind, as the seat of thought, faculty of reason, also ghost, spirit of a dead person. Probably akin to psychein, to blow, breathe, also to cool, to make dry. These are sometimes traced to pi root, best to blow, to breathe. Personified by the Greeks as Psyche, the beloved of Eros, often represented as a fair young girl, the butterfly was her symbol. Also in ancient Greek, departed soul, spirit, ghost, seen as a winged creature and often represented symbolically as a butterfly or moth. As we can see here, the psyche deals with the spirit. Spirit beings possess people and can control them. Spirits occupy or possess living beings because they have no life or blood of their own. It can alter one's thoughts and take over the nervous system of human beings. In the etymology of the word psyche, it also says that it means ghost, spirit of a dead person. Spirits have existed since the beginning of creation and go from body to body as the life and death cycles happen continuously in nature. Let's look at the introduction to the Nature and Nature transcript audiobook, page 31, number 71. And this can be found on fine9news.com. Okay. On what the psyche is according to new science. Listen to reason. Second, the spiritual person is the psyche, the source of whom is the spirit world, because this is the spirit being who comes and possesses the person during his or her gestation period in the mother's womb or at birth of the person, because spirit beings must transmigrate from one living being to another in order to survive and strive. Your psyche coming to you and connecting with you is like the negative being added to the positive. Your psyche is your overall control because it can interfere with your thinking and your decision making. Usually, spirit beings do what is in their best interest for survival, pleasure, and honor, and if what they do is in your best interest too, you are considered blessed or lucky or both. Let it be known. Okay? So since the word ghost is associated with the psyche because spirit beings cannot be seen during this time of existence, which is 3 south on the smart circle of order where we currently are. People also don't know that they are possessed by spirit beings because spirit beings don't make themselves known to those who are ignorant to their existence, and they also keep people ignorant overall. The word animating is also what stood out to the writer the most when looking at this definition. If we look at the etymology of the word animate, it states 1530s, to fill with boldness or courage. Give breath to, also to endow with a particular spirit, to give courage to and live in, life breath. From pi root ane, to breathe. Sense of give natural life to. The meaning render and moving pictures by 1888. In reference to cinematic cartoons by 1911. Okay? It says if we look at this definition, it says to endow with a particular spirit. To endow in this case of this topic, because there are multiple definitions, will be to pass down or give someone or something a particularly particular quality or faculty. A faculty is defined as an inherent mental or physical power. That power is being given to the spirit because they are the programmers and controllers. In this case, the spirit being has the power to control the human nervous system of every human being on the planet from birth to death. That includes the brain and many other physical attributes of the human body. Humans even inherit certain spiritual qualities from their parents, but it also depends on their day, time, and location of birth. So this is the human nervous system. There's multiple parts of the human nervous system, but as you can see here, there's so many parts of the nervous system that the spirit being controls. And they can control it when they see fit, for positive and for negative reasons. So as you can see, the brain is here. You see the lungs, the heart, the stomach, the gallbladder, the intestines, the reproductive system, the eyeballs, the brain. Even the parasympathetic nerves can constrict airways, and the sympathetic nerves can also relax airways. That's just an example to see that the spirit being has the ability to do good and bad because they control these different parts of the nervous system. Okay? It says in the definition of the word animate, it also says life, breath, and sense of give natural life to. We must remember that living organisms have to go through a gestation, development, and then birth process to become a living organism. This is the time spirit beings take their place in humans to program and control them. As previously stated in the transcript audio tape book, page 31, number 71, it states the spirit being who comes and possesses the person during his or her gestation period in the mother's womb or at birth of the person, because spirit beings must transmigrate from one living being to another in order to survive and strive. Human gestation is a development of a living organism, fetus, and when a living organism goes into the birth process, they take their first breath of oxygen in order to signify that they are alive when exiting the womb. Oxygen is the breath of life. Let's look at the moonset sunrise of the Nature and Nature book, pages 28 to 29, to explain a little further. So it says, listen to reason. Life springs from an acid base and is perpetuated, continued by that acid base. Of course, acids burn, so hence life is a burning, like the acid in a car battery is the life of the car. The car is made active by gas burning, and the person is made active by blood burning. Brain newts that create brains from other matter are acid particles that produce mind and reason energy, who carry out the creation work of brain newts, who are called the prime mover. When a baby is born, the attending physician or midwife makes sure that the infant is breathing, and if it is not inhaling and exhaling, the baby gets a spanking to excite and activate the brain and nervous systems into action, because otherwise the child will die unless it is stillborn, born dead already. When the baby actively starts to breathe, the oxygen air it breathes goes to the lungs, and acid in the blood in its lungs burns the oxygen the child breathes, and that burning is natural electricity called ether, which is life. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Listen to reason. When the natural electricity ether, who is the burning, reaches the brain, it lights up the brain like a bulb. Then the person not only has life but consciousness with that life, because he or she can then see, feel, taste, hear, and smell. Therefore, a person sees, feels, tastes, hears, and smells with his or her mental organ, the brain, the organ of consciousness, by way of the nervous systems of the brain. The brain stays alive with the organ of oxygen, the lungs, and the organ of blood, the heart, which the brain grew for its survival. Marrow of the bones, the spinal cord, and the nervous systems of a person or thing are extensions, roots, and branches of the brain of a being. Of course, the nervous systems of a person are found throughout the physical person. Then too, there is nothing mysterious about the breath of life, for it is oxygen. The point is this: when the burning stops, that is the end of that individual's personal life, because the person of the body is the purpose of the body is to provide the conditions necessary for the burning. That is life. This is how you know that a human person is alive. Now let's continue. According to the Greek goddess Psyche, it was often represented as a fair girl, and the butterfly was her symbol. If we go back into the definition of the word Psyche, this is where I'm getting that from. So this is like the Greek representation of Psyche. You may be asking, what does the butterfly have to do with mental illness or spirit beings? Here is how. Butterflies are polymorphic insects. This means that they are an organism of many different forms among the members of the butterfly species. The same can apply to spirit beings. Within the classification of spirit beings, there are different forms or variations of spirit beings. Let's look at the Introduction to the Nature and Nature, Book 1, page 72 to 73 to explain this further. So it's the spirits of nature by reason. Listen to reason. According to the unabridged American English Dictionary, there are two categories of spirit beings: agathodemons, good spirits, and cacodemons, evil spirits. But the writer adds a third category and calls it cagathodemons, a combination of the cacodemon and agathodemon classification, meaning those spirits who are evil and good or good and evil. One reason for the third category or classification is the fact that all spirit gods and goddesses in the bottom half of the smash circle of order have a negative side, like everybody and everything else have opposites within themselves. And this means that the Cagathodemon category of spirits can fit into any of the three categories depending on their likes and dislikes, the time and the season, and the laws and cycles of nature. However, all spirits are not gods and goddesses, and thereby might have to fit into the good or evil classification only. Because if a spirit is not a god or goddess, not a god or goddesses, it is a helper spirit who follows orders to do good if the nature of the spirit is good, or follows orders to do evil if the nature of the spirit is evil. Like all intelligent organizations, spirit's organization has a chain of command, meaning the higher in rank gives orders or commands to the lower in rank. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. So just to break it down, I basically, just shorten it for you. So it says there are agathodemons, good spirits, cacodemons, evil spirits, cagathodemons, good and bad spirits. There are also spirits who are good and who are gods and goddesses, and those who are not, and considered helper spirits that follow orders to do good, evil, or both. So that's the categorization that deals with spirit beings, the same way there are a multitude of categories that deal with butterflies. Okay? So it says butterflies also camouflage. They can use any combination of materials, coloration, or illumination for concealment, either by taking animals or objects hard to see or by disguising them as something else. This can be compared to spirit beings. Let's look at the Introduction to the Nature and Nature, Book 1 to explain further. It says oppression, one-sided racism, racial violence, slavery, liberation programs, and other activities and realities that motivate, activate, and control person and things and make them better or worse. Spirit beings are opposites of human beings in the sense that human beings are visible and spirit beings are invisible in the bottom half of the smash circle of order. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Spirit beings are invisible during this time of existence, during the time of this writing, the same way when living physical organisms camouflage, they appear to be invisible because they blend in with their surroundings or appear as if they aren't there. Let's continue. Butterflies also make use of mimicry. In the word mimicry, you can hear the word mimic, which means to copy, imitate, or resemble. Mimicry or mimicry can also be defined as when an animal or plant resembles another creature or object, usually to defend themselves or gain an advantage. Mimicry is defined as an evolved resemblance between an organism and another object, often an organism of another species. Often mimicry functions to protect a species of the same species from predators, making it an anti-predator adaptation. The resemblances that evolve in mimicry can be visual, acoustic, chemical, tactile, or electric, or a combination of these sensory modalities. Mimicry, in simpler terms, can be defined as when an animal or plant resembles another creature or object, usually to defend themselves or gain an advantage. So here's an eastern coral snake and a scarlet king snake. So here's the two snakes. The king snake resembles the eastern coral snake, which is a highly venomous snake. When animals see the scarlet king snake, they think it's the coral snake because of the similar striped colors and pattern. This allows the king snake to have an advantage or be able to defend themselves, because some animals will not attack it because they assume it's the coral snake, which is highly poisonous. Here is another example using monarch and viceroy butterflies. So we can see that they look very similar, but the difference is in the wing. Okay? Monarch butterflies, as caterpillars, eat the leaves of the milkweed plants, which contain a toxic substance. The caterpillars retain the toxin in their own tissues, which makes them toxic or distasteful to predators. They remain toxic even after transforming into a butterfly. Adult viceroy butterflies strongly resemble monarchs, although they are not toxic. Because of the mimicry between the monarch and viceroy butterflies, predators avoid eating viceroy butterflies. This can be related to spirit beings because when spirit beings do evil things or things that are toxic to the human person and their surroundings, they resemble the human they are possessing because they are invisible and take place in living organisms. The human person usually becomes the blame for their toxic behaviors of the spirit, and the human person can be harmed or killed while the spirit does not die but transports into another body. This is because the human body is physical to the human eye and the spirit is not. Because they take over human bodies, they can mimic human behavior while hiding their true identity and true intentions while the human body is attacked by predators, and they stay protected and invisible and have an advantage over human beings. Butterflies also make use of aposematism against their predators. Aposematism is the advertising by an animal to potential predators that is neither worth attacking nor eating it. This unprofitability may consist of any defense which make the prey difficult to kill and eat, such as toxicity, venom, foul taste or smell, sharp spines, or aggressive nature. These advertising signals may take the form of conspicuous coloration, sounds, odors, or other perceivable characteristics. Aposematic signals are beneficial for both predator and prey since both avoid. This can also be compared to the invisibility of spirit beings, which make them difficult to kill because they take form in living organisms and remain unseen. Okay? So it says in psychology, the monarch butterfly is connected to mental illness. It has multiple representations, but more negative than positive, according to the research done by the writer. According to the Mental Health Association, the monarch butterfly is representative of what people with mental illness go through. It is said that the initial cocoon of the butterfly symbolizes the internal struggles of mental illness, and the progression into a colorful winged butterfly represents hope for a better future. The monarch butterfly begins migration, persevering through obstacles, which is comparable to the healing process those with mental illness face. The monarch butterfly also has negative representation when it comes to mental health. On the other hand, an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency called Project MKUltra had a multitude of harmful experiments dealing with the monarch butterfly. They used different formulas and experiment to create an undetectable total mind control slave. We must understand that the people who are doing these experiments are also possessed by spirit beings, as spirit beings know the nature of nature better than the human person does. So they know how to program and control humans and other spirits because they are tricky and elusive. Let's look into the transcript audio tape book 1 of the Introduction to the Nature of Nature, page 6, to explain this further. So it says orbs are located in their centers, and they produce spirit beings called original spirit gods and goddesses by brain concentration, and spirit beings multiply by division, meaning male and female ether energy organisms divide part of themselves and unite those male and female parts and formulas into a single spirit organism or entity. Spirit gods and goddesses are programmers and controllers in absolute nature and may be called the angels of the one supreme being. Spirit beings do not physically create like brains and reason, but they do create good or evil conditions and spells and curses that control people's lives and also their welfare. So we need to focus on that part. The fact that they create good or evil conditions and spells and curses that controls people's lives and also their welfare. So it says, because they are not human and also create good or evil conditions and spells and curses that control people's lives and their welfare, is how they are programmed as the controllers of living organisms, as well as being tricky and elusive. Monarch programming is a mind control technique comprising elements of satanic ritual abuse and multiple personality disorder. It utilizes a combination of psychology, neuroscience, and occult rituals to create within the slaves an alter persona that could be triggered and programmed by the handlers. Monarch slaves are used by several organizations connected with the world elite in fields such as military, sex, slavery, and the entertainment industry. Throughout the course of history, several accounts have been recorded describing rituals and practices resembling mind control. One of the earliest writings giving reference to the use of occultism to manipulate the mind can be found in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It is a compilation of rituals heavily studied by today's secret societies, which describes methods of torture and intimidation to create trauma, the use of potions, drugs, and the casting of spells, hypnotism, ultimately resulting in the total enslavement of the initiate. Other events ascribed to black magic, sorcery, and demon possession, where the victim is animated by an outside force, we see that word animated again, are also ancestors of monarch programming. As we can see, the word animated is popping up again. Again, animate means to endow with a particular spirit. It says the victim is animated by an outside force, which is the spirit being that takes the human body as a host. As previously stated, spirit beings create negative conditions. Typo. Let's fix that. As well as spells and curses, just like torture, trauma, drugs, spellcasting, black magic, sorcery, negative demon possession, and enslavement of the initiate or host. It says that other events ascribed to black magic, sorcery, and demon possession are also ancestors of monarch programming. We already know that the monarch butterfly is symbolic of spirit being possession and control of the mind. You also see the word programming in the phrase monarch programming, and this proves that spirit beings are programmers and controllers. Since these negative spiritual events where the victim is animated by an outside force are ancestors of monarch programming, this confirms that spirit beings have been here before through multiple cycles and seasons in almighty nature. Let's look at the Bible interpretation and explanations for more on this topic. This is the way the ancients had it. The soul is the body and mentality of a person. When a child is born, spirits may possess his or her body, but those spirits existed ever since creation. The spirits that possess the person may be good or evil or both. This depends on the person's environment and the star or sign of the zodiac under which the individual was born. Moreover, the seed from which the child sprang is a major factor in determining his or her pattern of life. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Now let's continue. However, during the 20th century, that mind control became a science in the modern sense of the term, where thousands of subjects have been systematically observed, documented, and experimented on. The most publicized experiments conducted by MK Ultra involved the administration of LSD on unwitting human subjects, including CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, other government agents, prostitutes, mentally ill patients, and members of the general public in order to study their reactions. This means that these spirit beings and their programming and spell casting exist all around us every day within different human beings, and we don't realize it. Origins of the name. Monarch mind control is named after the monarch butterfly, an insect who begins its life as a worm, representing undeveloped potential, and after the period of cocooning programming is reborn as a beautiful butterfly, the monarch slave. Some characteristics specific to the monarch butterfly are also applicable to mind control. Mind control can also be defined as spirit being manipulation to the mind and nervous system of human beings. One of the primary reasons that the monarch mind control programming was named monarch programming was because of the monarch butterfly. The monarch butterfly learns where it was born, its roots, and it passes the knowledge, be it genetics, on to its offspring from generation to generation. This was one of the key animals that tipped scientists off. That knowledge can be passed genetically. The monarch program is based upon Illuminati and is supposed to say Nazi goals to create a master race in part through genetics. If knowledge can be passed genetically, which it is, then it is important that parents be found that can pass the correct knowledge onto those victims selected for the monarch mind control. Okay, so
It's almost like you want me to give up. Don't make it hard for me to love you.
as you can see that these Greek gods and goddesses, and also even in Egyptian philosophy and things like that, they all knew that spirit beings existed in their own form. We have come so far down in evolution that we just forgot everything. So this is just a reminder that spirit beings do exist. They are programming and controlling everything at this point. You watching this video, you are possessed by a spirit being. You just have to determine what kind of spirit being it is. So I just want to say thank you for taking time out to watch this video. And when the book is finally complete, because there's a lot of missing parts in here, I will upload a video and I will let everybody know. So, true mental cosmic peace in war times.